going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're taking a look at the opponent that the Detroit Lions have to face this weekend. Yeah, they're pretty good. So let's get this thing started. Let's get right into the video. We're going to be looking at the challenge the Detroit Lions have upcoming, okay? The Lions have a very big challenge upcoming against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's a very good thing that they already have 2 wins, right? Because this is not going to be easy, okay? None of their next couple weeks are going to be easy. We knew this was the hardest part of the schedule, and it's shaping out to maybe even be harder than we thought. The Packers are 3-0. Who would have thought that? I mean, maybe some people, but 3-0, they seem to be a little better than maybe we would have thought. Vikings are good. As we know, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, who are absolutely crazy. But we play them this weekend, and the Detroit Lions are still an undefeated team, right? We're 2-0-1. What is crazy, what tells you a lot about this game, at least from the betting standpoint, is that, at least from what I saw, now these will change throughout the week, the Detroit Lions are given a touchdown so far with the spreads. A touchdown. I mean, can you imagine this scenario? You're a home team. Week 4, you're undefeated, technically. You're still undefeated, right? And you're given 7 points? The other team must be insane, and that's kind of how it shapes out to be, right? We're playing a Kansas City Chiefs team that is 3-0. We are 2-0-1, and I thought we'd take a first look at how really good this team is and what we're up against, okay? Because there are still some holes. There's definitely ways that we can win this game, and I believe we can win this game, but they have a lot of firepower, okay? So let's just read through some of the numbers, really understand what the Detroit Lions will be going against this week and how great they're really going to have to play at home. So looking at quarterback Patrick Mahomes, he has completed 72% of his passes, 10 yards per attempt, which is pretty high for a quarterback, you know? I mean, it hovers around that range, which is really throwing for a first down every single time you pass the ball. 1,195 passing yards, which is nearly 1,200 through 3 games. Oh my goodness, this dude's on pace to beat out his stats from last season. And he also has 10 touchdowns already to 0 interceptions in 3 games. That's not good. That's not good for the Lions, okay? But looking at the rushing attack, it's not anything to marvel at, okay? LaShawn McCoy, who has had their most attempts, 29 attempts for 158 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, and 1 touchdown. He's done pretty solid. 5.4 yards per carry is like carry on stats last season. But after that, they've had a pretty big drop-off, okay? They used Damian Williams as their second running back, who has 22 attempts for 34 yards. That's 1.5 yards per attempt. So that's not very good. He does have a touchdown, but that's not good at all. Okay, I know we can't run right now, but that's even worse. Looking at the receiving group, Travis Kelce has obviously been one of their biggest options, just like the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think that was good practice for us. We played a Philadelphia Eagles team with Zach Ertz, who threw to the 10 a lot. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs do, okay? He has 17 receptions, and I've read he had 25 targets for 284 receiving yards, 16.7-yard average, and a touchdown. 16.7, that is wow. And then we have Sammy Watkins, who's been their leading receiver at this point, okay? As we know, Tyreek Hill, not there. But Sammy Watkins has definitely stepped up, okay? This is a guy that was drafted. I think some people even thought maybe this guy was a bust, and he's been really good with the Kansas City Chiefs. 20 receptions, 311 receiving yards, 15.5-yard average, and 3 touchdowns. Sammy Watkins has been balling, but I think we can slow him down if one thing happens, okay? And then finally, we have Demarcus Robinson, who has 10 receptions for 215 yards, which is a 21.5 yard per reception with 3 touchdowns. So what your guys are getting out of this is that they score a lot of touchdowns from the wide receivers, and they have a lot of big passes, okay? It's not a lot of little stuff. It's a lot of big things, a lot of big plays. They try to open up the game like that. Because running the ball, it's really just LaShawn McCoy, who has a couple of big rushes. Damian Williams hasn't really done much at all, and then they have big plays out of the passing game. If you watch their highlights, if you watch them play, that's what you see a lot. A lot of big passes, a lot of long throws for Patrick Mahomes. But I think the Lions can definitely slow them down. Now, what I was talking about with Sammy Watkins, we need to have Slay back out there. Looking at the Lions side of things, we have a few injuries that hopefully we can get back from. Now, Slay had what looks like to be a hamstring injury. We don't know if he'll play at this point. Mike Daniels, he was walking on crutches with a boot on. Again, his results came back negative, but we don't know if he will play. We definitely have injuries on our side. Obviously, Rashaan Melvin has been battling through an ankle injury. He did play tons of snaps versus the Philadelphia Eagles, but he could potentially be our #1 corner going into that game. But I will give credit, Justin Coleman has balled out better than I even thought he would, even playing on the outside, so good for him. That will definitely help. But if we can have Slay out there, I think our secondary is going to be very, very good against this team, okay? We drop a lot of guys back already. I think we'll be fine. Now, we can blitz this guy. This is a team that we can definitely blitz, but I wouldn't mess with it too much. I feel like he's pretty good when the pressure comes in flinging out there because he's got one-on-one. He's got holes in the zone. I don't want to give him holes. I would rather play just just like we're playing defensively, and I think we'll be okay. You can mix in the blitz. I think we'll be okay, and I actually trust this defense line to be even better versus the Chiefs. Okay, they're starting to come around. I saw a stat that Trey Flowers apparently versus the Eagles had 6 quarterback hurries with a sack and 8 tackles, leading the team in tackles. So he's definitely getting better, and I think as this thing continues to gel and they continue to get better, it's going to be huge. Okay, so looking at their offense, the Kansas City Chiefs as a whole, they've averaged 33.7 points per game. 33.7? That's 34 points per game. That is insane. 34? We haven't even scored 34 this year. That's crazy. 487 yards per game, nearly 500. That is second in the league. Looking at their yards per game with the passing attack, 392 yards per game. That's first in the league. But the rushing attack isn't like that. 94.7 yards per game, which is 22nd in the league. So they definitely don't run the ball as well as they throw it, but why would you if you can throw it that well, right? It kind of reminds me of our 2011 Lions team when Stafford had those big numbers. That's what he reminds me of, because Stafford was a young quarterback like Mahomes is still, and he would put up those big passing numbers. We just couldn't run the ball. Now, looking at the Lions defense to go against this, we have only given up 20.3 points per game, which is huge. Okay, we're 12th in the league in that category, but we also give up a lot of yards, okay? Just like the Chiefs get a lot of yards, we give up a lot of yards, okay? And that's just how we play. We play bend, don't break. We give up 394.7 yards per game, 23rd in the league. Not very good. We're probably going to give up tons, maybe near 500 yards, 400 or 500 yards, somewhere in there versus the Kansas City Chiefs. It's all about holding them to field goals. We cannot let them finish these drives. We cannot let them have bombs for touchdowns. Tackle them, keep them at field goals. If they have to take field goals and field goals on field goals on field goals, we can keep in this game, and that will be huge, okay? Our passing defense hasn't been terrible, but not good. 269 yards per game allowed. That's 22nd in the league. And then finally, we have allowed 125.3 yards per game on the rushing attack, which is 22nd as well. Now, running the ball, that may concern you a little bit, but don't let it, because they don't run the ball very well. That's not something that they really go for. They just throw the ball a lot. So since they don't run the ball very well, and we're both rated 22nd in the league on our sides of things, this is something that I don't think we should be worried about. It's more about that passing game. Looking at that Kansas City Chiefs defense, they give up 21.3 points per game, which is actually a lot better than I thought. That's 14th in the league. 395.7 yards per game. They also give up 258 of those yards on the passing attack and 137.3 yards per game on the rushing attack, which is 27th in the league. So we can definitely exploit that, because we haven't ran the ball well, and this is our chance, okay? Looking at how well this offensive line has been protecting, they're in like historic categories right now. I don't know how, but they are. But rushing the ball, we haven't shown that. We need to show that in rushing side of things, because the Detroit Lions offense, we've only had 22.3 points per game, which is actually 16th in the league. Not bad. 367.7 yards per game, which is 12th in the league. Again, not bad. Passing, 264 yards per game, which is 11th, but rushing hasn't been there. 98.7 yards per game, which is on the lower half side of things. So that's not good. We got to get that rushing game going, and it's all about Kerryon Johnson, okay? Looking at our specifics, Kerryon Johnson has had 48 attempts for 126 yards. That's only 2.6 yards per carry. That needs to change. That is the key for the Lions to beat this team, to control time of possession, because you can't let this team have tons of possessions. If they have tons of possessions, we lose to the Chiefs, because they score too many points, they put up too many yards. We cannot let them control time of possession. That's the number one key. Earn time of possession, control time of possession. How do we do that? We get Kerryon Johnson going, okay? 2.6 yards per carry is not going to get it done. He has to have a very big day. Ty Johnson, on the other hand, has only had 10 attempts with the Detroit Lions, because when CJ Anderson was here, he was the second leader in attempts. Ty Johnson, 10 attempts for 41 yards. That's 4.1 yards per carry. Not bad. He could have a pretty nice day. He has a 17-yard long rush for the Detroit Lions. At this point, Kerryon's longest rush is only 11 yards. We need to break that, and I see the Lions breaking one of those, and we just got to keep that balanced offense. I would not change our offense. I would not try to go to a pass-heavy offense to keep up a score, even if we fall down an early hole. Play your game and try to control time of possession, okay? Make them uncomfortable. Make them think that, oh man, we gotta get some more points out there, and try to hurry themselves up, force a lot of turnovers, okay? Because that's where we'll come into play. If we can hold them to field goals, they're going to get frustrated, and they're going to want to make plays. Patrick Mahomes has not been used to not scoring 34 points per game. That's why that's their average, okay? He scored 40 points per game already. So he's not used to that. So what we have to do is keep them uncomfortable, make them kick field goals. They're going to get upset. They're going to get frustrated, especially if we control time possession, because think about this. They get the ball, say they go down and they get a field goal. Then we control time possession. It's the end of the first quarter and we still have the ball. They're like, dang, We only have 3 points. We need to start scoring more. They start firing things, and that's when big plays Slay, Tracy Walker, Quandre Diggs, those type of guys start coming up with big plays secondary, maybe a few interceptions, which would definitely be huge. Look at Matthew Stafford, though, on our passing offense. He's been very solid. 63% of his passes have been completed, 7.8 yard average, which isn't huge. Again, just under 8 yards, which is pretty good. 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with 831 yards. The 2 interceptions come against the Chargers. Not too worried about those. Those are basically punts. Now, receiving-wise, we moved the wealth around, okay? We have 4 guys with over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. I'm pretty sure that's a record somehow. And those guys include T.J. Hockenson, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, and Kenny Galladay. Who would have thought? Our big 4. I mean, we have a big 4 literally, but they show up in different times, okay? They're not going to all show up at once. We would love to have them all show up at once, and I would love that versus the Chiefs. We need to play nearly a great game. Not perfect, great game at home, but we have to be able to run the ball, okay? I will still look at these, though. Marvin Jones, 15 receptions for 200 yards. Kenny Galladay, 14 receptions, 176 yards. Danny Amendola, 11 receptions for 141 yards. And as we know, T.J. Hockenson had that big first game with 8 receptions. He's been quiet since. So let's see if we can get going. Overall, though, for me, it comes down to you have to be able to run the ball. If we can run the ball, control time possession, we can beat this team. That is the strategy. Get them frustrated. Make them want to put points on the board and throw bad passes, okay? Make him make mistakes. He will make mistakes. He will make mistakes, okay? There was a mistake that he made last week versus the Ravens where there was a pass interference call. He threw a pick. There was a pass interference call, though, that took it off the board. We can beat this team. The Ravens could have beat this team. We can beat this team. We're 2-0-1 for a reason. And being at home gives us a huge advantage that we can control time possession. The crowd has to be on their feet. But again, make them frustrated. Let them get their yards because they will get chunk plays. That will happen. There's no way around it. It will happen. Take care of Travis Kelce. He is their main guy. If we can get rid of him and Darius Slay is healthy, that will be huge against Sammy Watkins. They're still going to probably get some chunk plays. But if you force them to not get touchdowns and are getting these big yard plays, they're not finishing off the drive with touchdowns, they're going to get frustrated. They'll start making mistakes. And that's when we control time possession and win an ugly game, okay? Again, the spread is huge. And a lot of people are taking the Chiefs, but we can beat this team, I believe, in our team. So that's the first look at the Kansas City Chiefs, looking at some numbers. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Brad, for watching. And I'm out.